The Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. They clean up nicely. It's the Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. Yeah, they clean up nicely. Yeah.
Hello.
Yo. Good morning, Daft's Punks. Thank you for tuning in today. We appreciate you.
Appreciate it as always. If you guys are just joining us and this is the first episode you're listening to, make sure you rate and review, subscribe to the podcast, rate and review on Apple, iTunes podcast. We appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're listening to it on Spotify, just make sure you follow. Everybody's got their different thing, you know, and we appreciate all the love. Also, if you're in the market for a photo booth, make sure you click the affiliate link below in the comments or the description of the video. It'll have a link to the photo booth supply company. You'll be helping out the show if you're in the market for a photo booth and you use that link. Also, if you're not on DMS and you want to give that a try, use the promo code Drew and Fuse Show. It'll get you 30% off your first month of activation. Also, make sure you check out our friends over at Club Killers. I'm rocking over at Club Cannon. We do have we have something with Club Killers going on today. So, you know, I got it. I got it on the brain right now. So yeah, but you know, Club Killers is great too. I use their record pool all the time. So
use the record pool.
Yeah, Club Cannon
pool for a ton of shows. I use Club Killers record pool all the time as well. But Club Cannon is our sponsor today, and it is going to turn your party up to 11. So make sure head over to Club Cannon, get a CO2 blaster. Got some videos on those. You can get some cryojets for your clubs. Whatever you got to do, grab that off of clubcannon.com.
Totally. We also are not sponsored by Liquid Death sparkling water straight from the Alps. It will murder your thirst. Doesn't put any money into our pockets. We're still drinking it. So cheers.
We just like the brand.
Happy whatever day today is. I can't even keep up.
Today's Wednesday if you're listening to it, because everybody on this podcast listen to it first day it drops.
Wednesday. All right. We got a great guest for you guys today. We're just going to get right into it. This guy has been around forever. I guarantee you play his edits. I guarantee it.
Guaranteed. One of my favorite editors
in your set. Yeah,
definitely. A lot of them are. Yeah, he's a beast.
He's played around the globe, had residencies in Asia, Florida, Vegas, just everywhere. He's played everywhere. I know Cleveland and Ohio here. I've seen him all over the place. So without further ado, just help us welcome DJ Deville. Hey.
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me on the show. It's awesome.
We appreciate it.
Good to talk with you.
Yeah, we're pumped, man. Thank you for being on.
Absolutely. And by the way, I just love your logo, the soap logo. Outstanding. Like it's probably one of my favorite all-time podcast logos. Like it's amazing.
Thanks.
Such a great logo mashup. It's amazing.
The first rule about the show is you tell everybody about the show. So it's kind of, you know.
Yeah. Shout out, I like that hoodie, by the way. Who is it? Who makes it? Club Cannon?
It's Club Cannon. Yeah, it's Club Cannon. Not to be confused with
Club
Killer.
I love it.
Yeah, where they can find all your edits.
Yeah.
And you've got a Patreon now as well, so they can grab your edits on there.
Yeah, so so the way that works too is, you know, I get a lot of questions about this. Like, this is also another great reason to kind of explain a little further. Yes, all my current stuff is on Club Killers on a week-to-week basis. But the reason I opened up the Patreon is it's more of an archive, because I'm sure a lot of younger DJs may or may not know. I used to be on CrooklynClan.net, even Crack for DJs when that existed. And a lot of those edits, I still get hit up about, like people asking, like they either saw another DJ play it or asking, hey, where can I get some of these edits? And they haven't been online for like 7 or 8 years, or if not longer. So I wanted to create a place where you could still find these archived greatest hits, and I'll still have exclusives as well, but I just wanted like a library of all my past content that's still extremely relevant and playable today. So that's why I kind of created it. I'm kind of using it because I want to make it as more of a community too, because I'm trying to expand. I'm still debating on this, but maybe expanding on services where essentially, like, I was thinking about doing, like, if you wanted to sign up, or maybe, I don't even know what the word is, commission and edit, or even like do like something like get inside my laptop, or come up with some ways to create extra value, or even just have a consultation services. I don't know. Like, I'm just looking at different things where, like, I've got 23 years of experience. How can I, allow this to be utilized by other younger DJs or other DJs that just want another opinion, whether it comes to coaching, consulting, or just a different perspective, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to come up with ways to utilize that and figure out what's a value price point for that. But in the meantime, it's just a great place to find some of my best throwback edits. So, I mean, but it is really, there's different ways. I've seen different DJs utilizing it in different ways, and I love it because everybody has a different interpretation. Like, I love Nick Bikes. Nick Bike has an awesome Patreon. He's really inspiring. He's actually one of the ones that I saw that made me want to go do it. So that was shout out to Nick Bike.
Yeah, shout out Nick Bike. Love his Patreon. I'm gonna have to sign up for yours right after this. I would love to see you go and offer some of that stuff for younger DJs, because I'm sure you do, but I get hit up all the time for, hey, will you make this redrum? And you're like, I don't know. I didn't even know what that is, right? But it could be a possible way to have somebody be able to reach out and be like, if they want to pay a certain amount and it means that much to them, get a custom Deville.
I mean, the only thing that scares me is it's like, what if it doesn't come out good? Like, not every idea can, in the conception period, translates well, especially if the tools aren't available. Because I'm still kind of like a source snob. I know all these great stems are out there, and the stem tools, and Serato just dropped the stem tools in their platform, but I like original sources. I collect original sources, whether it stems from the original files or whatever. So it's like a fine wine versus a box wine. It's something where it does the job, but is it doing it right? It's definitely where So if somebody asks for like a particular, like I always do, the epic acapella thing is huge, and so
I love all of those. How you do.
But the problem is when you make it epic, you have to air it out. There's no blend, so it has to be crystal clear. And if you don't have a good quality source, it sounds like doo-doo. So that's the big thing, is making sure that I'm able to make the follow through if somebody commissions me to do it. So that's what makes me nervous about that factor. But nonetheless, it's still a novel idea.
Well, maybe they have to fill out some kind of form, and if it hits all the boxes, then they're okay. Can go forward. Yes. But otherwise, it's like, blocks them. No, you guys.
Big
no, will not pass go. Will not pass go. No, you just get an email that comes back. It's just this hard pass.
Big red letters. No, hard pass. Here's your money back.
Here's your money back.
All right. So one of the things before we get started with some rapid fire that I kind of wanted to ask is, we know you've kind of moved around, and you were in Tampa, then you were in Vegas, you were in Asia.
I lived in Shanghai. I lived in Shanghai for almost 3 years.
One of the questions I have, one, if you just kind of want to tell us about kind of hopping around, and two, if you have any advice for a DJ that might be looking to make a big move from a smaller market to a bigger market.
Oh man, see, that's an awesome question, because I've done it a lot. I originally moved from Wisconsin, so I started in the cafeterias of my high school DJing, and then I evolved into Green Bay, Wisconsin, which was like 90 minutes away, and then I decided to go to Orlando, which was 22 hours away. So that required me getting a U-Haul.
I'm sorry. Wait, I'm sorry. We can't gloss over the fact that you're DJing in the cafeteria. Just real quick, give me a little bit on that. Go on.
Oh yeah, okay. So
that's
I had to rent speakers. So it was me and my two buddies. And we had a company called JAZ Entertainment. It started in 10th grade.
How old are you?
10th grade, like 16. Yeah. I just got my license. My parents let me use their Jeep Grand Cherokee so I could fit speakers in the back. We made it a flatbed, throw everything in the back. And we were making like $300 a night. So we each made, like, after the rental cost, we each made $60. But like, hey, it's gas money, it's awesome. So we did that. And I remember the first time we hooked up, my very first song as a professional paid DJ. I played Intergalactic by Beastie Boys. And right when the bass hit, I popped the fuses in the whole cafeteria. And the first thing I ever heard as a DJ is, "Boo, you suck." I'm like just immediate trauma, like immediate. So we got it figured out. We found out you're not supposed to put all the plugs on one outlet. So we figured that out, put them around a couple different outlets. Everything was good. And then the fire truck came because our fog machine set off the fire alarms. So then we had got in trouble with the fire department. And then we broke a window from all the bass. So that was our first gig. But it was legendary. We got hired for every single gig all the way through senior year except for prom. So we did a fundraiser I think we were doing dances. It wasn't like just proms. We were doing like fundraiser dances where you can just come as you are and have a good time. And I didn't realize it, but my student council was saving all this money. So we saved up enough money to go to Six Flags Great America on our senior trip, and no one had to pay a dime. It was all for free just from doing all these DJ parties and stuff. It was great. So that's how I got into it. And then I started DJing at all the local clubs. Believe it or not, back in the late 90s, Wisconsin had a pretty banging club scene. I know that's a weird thing to hear, but they had teen clubs, they had nightclubs, they had everything. So I got really a great experience introduced going into DJing when I was 18.
I have a going into becoming a teenage daughter, and I feel that that's lacking these days. Is just like a good teen scene,
like a safe environment that your parents can drop their kid off at. I mean, I was driving by myself. I had my license. My mom was driving my mom nuts. I just take off in the Jeep, go down to the club, cruise down Grand Avenue, having a good time, get some Taco Bell. It was a great time.
Have a Coca-Cola, maybe a Mountain Dew.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's gonna get
wild
crazy,
times, man. Wild times. But I mean, the clubs. I remember the first time I ever heard Sandstorm in a club. I mean, the lights went out, the strobe lights were hitting. There was good production. I mean, it was everybody started jumping when the songs went off, and I was very grateful because the bosses of the club I worked at, I didn't have to have any music. They were mobile DJs turned club owners, so they took their entire mobile CD collection, put it on the wall, and then digitally cataloged it so you could search it like Serato, but it was just serial numbers, and every CD had a serial number. So I just memorized. Eventually, I was memorizing where CDs were, and that's how I got started. And then obviously, like when Crooklyn Clan came out, I was burning my own CDs, so I had my own CD book full of mashups, and then I brought those to supplement what was on the wall. And then when Serato went mainstream, I finally bought that for the Black MacBook, and I got the TTM 57. I got the M5G Techniques, which I still have to this day, and that's what got me going. And I had all the other DJs were hating on me, like, "Oh, this guy thinks he's a hot shot because he's got Serato. What are you gonna do with that?" Ugh. I heard computers crash, right? So I was getting all that hate up front, but they eventually obviously became the standard, and I was very grateful that I took it on very early because I saw. When I used to go to Minneapolis, and I saw DJ. There it is. I still have mine too. It's a relic. Does it turn on? Does it actually turn on?
Dude, someone smashed it. That's why I still have it. No. Is it someone I was DJing and a fight broke out. Someone grabbed the cable and I watched it go flying out of my hands. I was like, no, and it just got smashed inside the mosh pit.
It's awesome you still have it. I just got it back because I sold it to my buddy in Detroit. He recently just gave it back to me. He was down in Tampa. He brought it with him and gave it back to me. I'm like, bro, that's awesome. So he says it still works too. It just needs a Wi-Fi card. I'm like, I don't even know what would work on this thing.
Right?
The fact that it still turns on is pretty cool. Yeah. But I still remember though, like this is I think all of you guys will appreciate this, is like what actually got me going with Serato is I was in Minneapolis and I got to see AM, and he was down on the front, like on the side stage. It wasn't even on it was a massive club, like 4,000 people. And this is before I even knew what mashups really were. And he started dropping all the Sizz and Riz joints, like all that hot shit, like everything. So, but he was juggling them. And so imagine this Wisconsin kid barely knows what a mashup is in the first place, but now it's party breaks and he's juggling party breaks. I literally thought he was a miracle worker in front of me. I was losing my mind. And he's doing it on a laptop, which I didn't know what was going on there. And he had 2 records that's going back and forth. So that was like 05. I mean, he was one of the first early adopters of the early Serato. And what was the other one? What was the competing one?
Torque?
Tractor?
Tractor.
It was one of those. Yeah, it was like there was another one. And
Torque by M Audio was the other one that DJ Revolution.
Yes. And that was really unstable. I guess it only worked on Windows. But at the
time, I can't. It wasn't Tractor. It was the early one to it.
It was Torque. TORQ.
No, that was Torque was one, but there was one other one. I can't remember the name, but yeah,
Because the guy
I know what you're
from
talking about.
Incubus, the DJ from Incubus, endorsed it.
Gilmore.
Yes, he actually did a showcase in like 2002 at college at Full Sail. He brought it in and it crashed when he did the demo, and everybody's laughing. I'm like, this is
Final
never gonna
cut.
work. Like,
Final scratch.
yeah, Final Scratch. That's what it
Final
was.
Scratch,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then when Serato came out stable, obviously that's when everybody started jumping on it. And that's what literally the next week I got a bank loan and got a computer. I got everything all at once. I ordered it from Pro Sound. I got the whole thing, and I was like obsessed with it. So it really changed my life, literally. Like it and then obviously that's when I moved to Orlando, and I started to meet lots of other people. I met DJ Nova. I got to open up for Scribble. You know, like I started to get the big city scene. I started to meet major players in the game, and I learned the big city style of DJing in conjunction with the fact that I now have technology. So because I had some songs, I knew what to do. I knew how to mix. I knew how to scratch. But I'm like, how do you play it in a high impact fashion? And Orlando really taught me a lot of that. And then obviously I started going between Tampa and Orlando quite a bit. And that's really how I got into the city scene.
That's interesting. And what would be your advice for like a young DJ that goes from Wisconsin over to this giant scene? Like, you start going to clubs and linking with the bigger DJs. Like, what's like the first thing you do once you land in this new big city?
Well, I mean, the first thing is save some money because it's going to be tight. I mean, I've been through a lot of ups and downs financially, throughout my whole life. Like, I take risks, and it's thankfully, yielding me rewards long term. But it's stressful sometimes, and you got to make sure you have a cushion. Because I'll just put it this way: when I moved from Wisconsin to Florida, I had a Cadillac with no trailer. I just had my Cadillac Deville. That's why a lot of people don't realize that's why I'm named Deville. I've had 3 caddies. But so I had my Cadillac filled with just my clothes, a fold-up desk that I had my studio on, and my DJ equipment. That's all I had. And then I slept on an air mattress for 3 or 4 months until I got my first DJ gig. And I literally just went from club to club remember Lightscribe CDs? Where you could actually like etch in a high-quality image on a CD?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember those. Totally.
Lightscribe started my career, my professional career. I guess you give it to him that way. Because I didn't want to just be the Sharpie guy. I didn't want to be that guy. So I took an extra hour per CD, and I just burned the CDs while I'm watching a movie or something. And I'd come up with 10, and I'd knock on door to door in downtown Orlando telling managers, hey, I'm new in town. Check out the CD. I'll be back next week. Let me know what you think, yes or no. And I got 2 or 3 gigs out like that way. And one of them was live on the air with XL 1067 in Orlando. Like I was live on the air in the club because I took the time and the initiative and just shook hands and like actually was personable with the management. So it's not easy, but it's what you got to do.
That old school CD burner would be one-time burn, right? So it would take the one time meaning like 1-to-1. So it would take the full hour.
It was a full hour.
To actually burn the mix, and then you'd have to flip it over and then subscribe the artwork onto it.
So you can imagine, I made sure that the management even wanted to talk to me remotely before I even gave it to you. Like, do you actually want to listen to this before I give it to you? Don't waste my time.
And in that dumb printer ink at the time would just like it was probably like 1 cartridge of printer ink just for each CD.
So bad, yeah. It was brutal. It was brutal. But I mean, it really did. It gave me that little more professional edge. And one time 100%. I even went to one guy invited me to do a demo, and I was the only DJ that showed up for the demo. So he's like, just play for 20 minutes. And the owner was there. He's like, yo, this guy's great. Put him on. That's why it was right when like AO Technology was blowing up. To give you the timeline. Like AO Technology was the hottest song, and then like I had all these techno remixes of it, and like all these EDM electro mixes, and Jump Smokers was blowing up, and it was just a really cool like time because it was more energy. It was like hip hop was kind of like starting to come back, but like dance mixes were really hot, and I just really enjoyed that style at the time.
Yeah, it's like 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. Yeah,
2008. It seems so long ago, yet just yesterday. It's strange.
I started DJing basically out of high school, so Serato was just becoming a thing when I started DJing, and I was I was using another software, and like you said, like I remember watching the YouTube video of DJ AM doing the "This is how we do it" routine, where he's like, the
Oh,
thing
yeah.
I like about Serato is relative remote mode, and then he's doing it, and he's like using one hand, and I was like, I need this shit. Like
Yeah.
that's what
I mean, that was his
that's what
electric
sold me.
guitar. Like the turntables were AM's electric guitar. I mean, he was doing things with that most people didn't even conceive of. Like still to this day, like I still watch it. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I actually kind of have it. I have my AM shrine over here.
Oh, nice.
So I've got
Dope.
I've got the AM sneakers, the Nike ones, and I actually remember when Kevin Scott did the auction for where you could buy some of his actual sneakers. I got the NERD Dunks. I actually have. I gotta show you this. I'm pretty sure Vice appreciates this on a high level too. Vice told me that he met his wife while he was playing on this mixer.
Oh wow!
This is the mixer from Body English.
Oh
Damn.
wow!
And AM5 Vice Deluxe. Everybody's played on this mixer. Even has the Scotty Boy I Love Blow sticker on the bottom.
Yes.
So this is this is really cool. This will never ever not be on display. This is one of the coolest things.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That thing's a tank. I'm sure it still works.
So, but it's just the fact that like he had like so much influence on. I'm sure, like even down to the flannel shirts. I think he influenced every DJ, on such a high level. Then that's what really caused me to use like scratching in an instrumental way, in an impactful way, not just for vanity and like scribble scratching just to do it, but like making it count and me actually becoming a part of the mix. And that's what really taught me on a higher level to appreciate, because like I'm not like a quote unquote turntablist of sorts. I consider more of like a drum scratcher. I like to scratch in a way that's going to complement what's already happening on a loud sound system. I scratch because I'm on, knowing that it's very loud in a club. So I don't get into like the really detailed stuff. I just make it in a way that's going to really impact a crowd and sound good live,
Yeah.
And that's what AM was the master of that.
100%.
Totally. I have a pair of shoes from the auction, but I was just a poor little young DJ at that time still, and they're just a pair of Vans that he had in the collection. But I got a pair.
It's like owning it's literally like owning a scarf from Jimi Hendrix or something. Like it's so cool. Like it's insane. I can't believe that auction even happened. I was actually in China, and all I had was one credit card that would work through the portal all the way back in the United States. I'm like, I have to have these. So I was like waiting for the auction to kick off, and I grabbed them as soon as I could. I was like, these are so cool. So yeah, that was definitely a crazy time too.
I want to talk more about your China experience, but we have some questions we want to jump into here.
Hit me.
All right, we got a segment video. We'll play it real quick, and then we'll ask the questions. So,
hey, this is the king of pop, Michael Jackson. Drew and Fuse, let's talk questions. In fact, let's do some rapid fire. Now, I know these rapid fires aren't always so rapid fire, and that is okay by me. I got nothing but time. Now, let's look at the man in the mirror and get started.
Show out the mic.
dude, that's the real Michael Jackson. In case you didn't know,
I would say so. No arguments there. No arguments.
We like to keep it fun and shake it up a little bit. So
it cracks me up every time it plays because it's just so bad. It's so.
I mean, it was just Halloween, was it?
So what do we have? We had Chris Cox on the other day, and he said Michael Jackson actually would look like his video from Thriller these days.
Yeah, probably.
Too soon. Too soon.
All right. So the first question we like asking is stuff that you're currently listening to. And it doesn't have to be like DJ music. It can be whatever. It could be a podcast. It could be anything that you like when you're just rolling down the street in the car. What do you like to listen to?
It's funny because I take a lot of new music for granted, like new releases. And, I actually took the time because like when Drake dropped a new album with 21, I actually took the time. I had a Saturday off. When I was driving around running errands, I listened to the whole thing top to bottom. I usually skip through stuff, and I didn't find myself wanting to skip as quickly. Like I was actually enjoying the new album. It was good. They had good synergy. And it was just a good hip hop album. Solid, really solid. And I've been disappointed a lot with a lot of like legacy artists that have been around a while and they put out something new. And I'm like, it's not what I was expecting. That's really been a good surprise for me. But more on the R&B side, I like a lot of chill music when I'm not listening to club stuff, because I'm always listening to club music. But I like what's her name? Is it not Megan the Scientist, or what's her name? Mariah the Scientist.
Check that
I
out.
love her voice. She has an amazing voice. She just put out a new album, but my favorite song from her is Beetlejuice. That came out a couple of years ago, and I'm just really enjoying her. She has just an amazing voice. I feel like there's a lot of up and coming R&B artists finally, because I just feel like it's been the SZA show for a while. It's just always been SZA on everything.
That's all my daughter listens to is SZA.
It's
every
cool.
morning.
There's so many more talented artists out there. Why isn't there remember back in the 90s, there was a million R&B artists. For some reason, it's just what happened to them. So I just really like supporting that part of the scene. I just enjoy that chill vibe.
I like Kali Uchis. Is it Kali Uchis? Yeah, I like her as well. She's
I'm not familiar. You see, you got to give me a new one. That's a new one.
Yeah, she's dope. So I'm gonna check out this Mariah the Scientist. I like that a lot.
Beetlejuice is an amazing song. Really good, chill guitar on it. It's just really good stuff. But when it comes to honestly, I should probably listen to more podcasts. But my commute is so short. I live a mile from my job, so I don't even have I have barely enough time to listen to one song on the radio. So I listen to a lot of XM. I listen to all the XM DJs, when they have the live mixes. Shout out to Sprite. Sprite has he's had me on his. He always has a great show. I'm always listening to that one. And I listen to the Diplo channel. I'm a huge Diplo fan. So that's another one that I like. So I bounce between those. That's pretty much what I listen to the most.
We had Sprite on the show, and his show is awesome. I was listening to it last night if I want to get pumped up. So yeah, it's a great show.
Absolutely.
Do you have a favorite remixer or producer? And that doesn't have to be like DJ editor. It could just be like music producer in general.
Oh, yeah. I think Good Times Ahead is probably one of my favorites. Wookie.
Yeah, Wookie. He's
come
Wookie. Up a couple times. All right.
Wookie is amazing. He's just because he likes remixing fun stuff like Nintendo games. And I'll play this stuff. And it's when I'll play party bars, college party bars, they just go off. The energy level is insane. So definitely Party Favors, another one. I honestly, the Tiesto machine keeps churning out hits. I love Tiesto big room stuff, very good quality electronic stuff. So but honestly, when it comes to more all those remixers, I really wish more artists would remix again. Remember when there was always a mandatory Afrojack remix. There's always the mandatory David Guetta remix. I wish they'd start doing that again. Whenever there's a top 40 song. The Disclosure remix of Unholy, they did a really good job on the sound quality is insane on that. I'm really looking forward to the new Skrillex album because he's been working really hard on it in the background. I keep seeing stuff on social media. He just did a show in Japan, previewing all the tracks, and there's some monsters. He's coming out with a dirty bass house, lineup on his new album. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. Because he's been. I don't want to say quiet. He's still producing stuff, but he's been quiet at least for his main brand, really pushing that.
He actually canceled a bunch of shows because he's like, guys, my album isn't done. I'm not going to go out in public until I have a good quality show for my fans. He's like, I can't pay attention to my DJ side of my life right now. He actually just came out and said it, which is really cool. I respect that because it's there's only so many hours in a day, and that's how Skrillex is really a producer because he's got to go in the studio and hibernate for a while before he can go back to cultivating as a DJ. So it's you got to go in season sometime.
Totally. So you're back in the Orlando area now, and one question we like to ask is if people are visiting Orlando, what's the go-to Orlando area food spot that isn't super touristy?
Ooh, okay. So actually, there's a spot I went to just this last weekend. This is a great question because it's called 20 Pho Hours. I'm a huge pho guy. I love Vietnamese food in general.
They always come up with the best names, right?
Yes,
20 Pho Hours is so good.
It's also the cool thing is it's 2-dimensional. The entire restaurant is 2D. So the floor is like, it looks like a black and white monochrome cartoon. Everything, even the house plants are drawn out that way. Like they have real house plants and they painted them to look 2-dimensional like a comic book. So it's really cool inside. And then everything's set up for social media. They're genius because they have like a photo booth, or it's like its actual telephone booth. You can get inside it. It says 24-hour on it. And it's just genius, like subliminal marketing. And they had a filet mignon pho. So that it's a little, they have a lobster and filet mignon pho too. So it really, really excellent choice there. It was a little pricey, but I highly recommend it.
With all
That's
that,
awesome.
my wife's big on anytime we go out, it's all about the ambiance, right? The food can suck, but the ambiance. And if they're nailing both of them, I'd be willing to pay the extra just because it's so hard to come by,
Yeah, they have a real vision. It was busy too. Even like I came in at like 3:00 in between lunch and dinner. It was still completely full, and everything was like super top notch. Like, and so it's not far from the Disney area either. Like that's the cool thing about anything that's worth mentioning is probably off of I-4 near Disney World or Universal Studios. It's just on the residential side of it, because like the one side's the parks and the other side is where people live. So it's pretty easy to get around. Like Orlando's a really easy city to get around as long as it's not rush hour.
Yeah,
just like anywhere,
I did a private event out there. It was a 50th birthday party, and I did all video. This was probably 3 years ago, but I want to say it was at the Ritz over by there. But yeah, it's such a cool city, and I need to spend some more time down there and get around. But
this is the best time of the year, man. Come on down. It's like between now and February is like the best. It's
right.
Like, sunny skies when there's not hurricanes, things like that.
You're right, because it's always perfect weather. It's like California, but you don't have the humidity that you get in the summertime.
Right. Yeah. The summer's brutal. Like, that's where I wish I could be back up in Wisconsin. Go like enjoy the weather up there.
Right. Totally.
One other question. This is another not so serious question, but what is the best one-word best one-word insult non-curse word?
When you call somebody a tomato. I heard that somewhere, like in a movie, or it was like, I don't know. I just heard that like earlier this year. I'm like, yo, that's brutal. Call somebody an effing tomato. Like what? It's like it makes it stop. Like, or like remember that SNL skit where they called people cork soakers?
No, I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, that's a good one too. I think that was I think it was Will Ferrell or something like that. Everybody was calling them cork soakers.
The tomatoes
for you. I got two for you. But try calling a tomato when you're pissed off and see what happens.
It's so good, because what do you do when you think like a comedian's bad? You throw tomatoes at him, right? It's like it's amazing. So good.
All right, and then the one last question is: we love hearing a crazy DJ story. So whether it's bad, whether it's good, whether you got one or two or three, we want to hear it. So,
I do have a story. I remember the story I wanted to tell. So this is for me. It was kind of like I was still like a naive kid from the United States when I was in China, and this was like my first year while I was out there, going out on a regular basis. Just give you a little more of a backstory there. The club is called Mint Shanghai, and they were bringing in DJs from the United States, especially from Crooklyn Clan, because one of the DJs out there, shout out to DJ Spenny, he was also on Crooklyn at the time. So they were just going down the charts of all the rosters of the DJs. So it was like me, Anthem Kings, Beatbreaker, Rocket Scientists, all those guys. So I ended up becoming friends with a lot of them, and I ended up becoming a quarterly resident. So I wasn't going there for like one show. I'd stay out there for a whole month. That's how I started getting out there on a more regular basis. And then they would bring in like, A-list acts from all over the world on top of that. And then so one night I opened up for Bob Sinclair.
Wow.
And this was like, I think it was a Friday night. It was absolutely ram-packed. There was members, it was a members only club at the time, and there was members that couldn't get in. And it was capacity. It was like 1,200 people, and it's on the 24th floor of an office building overlooking the Shanghai skyline. It's one of the most picturesque situations, best venue I've ever played in my life. It's just amazing. So you got Bob Sinclair. He walks in, rock star status, and he's got his leather jacket on. He's acting really cool in French. He's the cool French guy.
Cool
He's like
and French.
walking in. He's got this, like the rock star hair and everything. I'm like, man, this guy's so cool. And so then he rolls up with his CD book, and this is, keep in mind, this is 2012, and he's rocking the CD book.
So
and
crazy.
we're like, good thing we got CDJs. Like, you know, a lot of times they rotate in and out, like controllers and different stuff. Like, they had all kinds of gadgets and stuff like that. We didn't care. We all used the same stuff. So good thing we had the CDJ 2000s with the CD drawers and everything. So I'm like, all right, man. I think they forgot to hook up the RCAs even, so they had to go back real quick. The tech guys had to hook up the RCAs because it was all digital. And so he goes on, and he's, you know, here's the problem. He played. Bob Sinclair realistically has 4 or 5 big songs.
Yeah.
And he played all of them at once in the beginning. And then he starts playing like French deep house.
Oh.
And he even knew what was going on. He could see the energy. It was like, like he played World Hold On. It was like New Year's Eve. And then, but it's 15 minutes into his set. And we're all looking like, what's he going to do now? Man, I bet he's got some new stuff. Oh, man, this is going to be crazy. And then it just drones further and further and further down. And next thing you know, he's playing like 122 BPM deep tech house. And he even gets on the mic. He's like, Shanghai, am I playing too deep for you? And the problem is no one said anything back.
Oh, wow.
So we're like, yeah, bro. I mean, this is not a DJ Hansel set, bro. Like, you can't go one deeper.
One deeper.
Yeah, he played all the deeper. And so then I'm hanging out. So there's a DJ booth. The DJ booth, I don't know if I can display this correctly, but it's like a long rectangle, right? And Bob Sinclair is here. I'm over here watching him from the side, and all the dance floors up here. So next thing you know, I got a laser pointer hit me in the head.
Oh,
my boss, he's like, get back on now. I'm like, you going to tell him? He's like, no, you're going to tell him.
Oh, man.
I've been in that situation, man. It is
Yeah.
not fun. It
Been
is
there.
not cool.
Not
Here
fun.
I am. I got my hands in my pocket. Walk up on stage. Hey, Bob.
Oh, my God, dude.
Hey, Bob. It's not working out, bro. I got to go back on. And he's like, oh, okay. So he finishes his song and he just unplugs his headphones unceremoniously. And he claps his CD book shut. And he puts it under his arm. He doesn't even take the time to put on his leather jacket. And he walks down the thing, and I have no music, so I got a bunch of people just staring at me. I'm like down the barrel, like, and I'm like, okay, I have to get on now. Unfolding my laptop, plugging everything in, and I finally I put on my first. I think Avicii Levels was killing it at the time, so I just played Avicii Levels real quick.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, yay! And then he looks at me. He's down in the pit, looking right up at me.
Oh,
He's just like, he was so mad at me. And he's like, oh, I guess you flew 8,000 miles for nothing, buddy. But I was just like, man, that was so, like, because that's a massive star. And like, for me to just forcibly put his tail between his legs was a very strange experience.
yeah.
I saw him play in 2018 at ADE in Amsterdam, and the bill that night was EDX, Bob Sinclair, Croatia Squad, and
Croatia Squad's awesome.
Sinclair was like, oh, and Fetty Legrand, and it was like
nice lineup.
Bob and Fetty were like the two co-headliners, basically. But his set, Bob Sinclair's set that night, was even kind of weird and like deep compared to the rest of the guys. So that just must be his thing. Like,
yeah, I think he likes to experiment. Like, he has like an identity. Like, he's Dr. Sinclair and Mr. Hyde. Like, he's got this thing where he wants to play deep, but he produces pop EDM. It's like,
Right.
I don't know. And the thing was too is I think the other problem was like he wasn't adopting technology quickly enough, because we were already programming the crowd to listen to 2 or 3 minute edits,
Right.
and he was playing 6-7 minute versions.
Yeah.
And that was even boring the crowd too. So I think it was just like it was just a generational gap on his technology. Obviously, I'm sure you went to thumb drives or something at soon thereafter. Because when you have an experience like that, you got to kind of rethink your playbook. Because like if you're toting around CDs when you're seeing everybody else do something cooler, I'm sure it makes you rethink everything.
Yeah,
Totally.
And just blowing your load right out the gate. I mean,
Oh, man.
geez.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. He should have peppered those in. I mean, World Hold On. He was like the grand finale at the beginning. I was like,
Right.
bro, what are you gonna do now?
Yeah,
So
totally.
yeah, that was definitely a wild one.
I opened up for Darude, and this is way after he was legacy by this point.
Yeah.
It was probably 14 or 15, and he had two controllers on the side, and he was just like queuing up Sandstorm, little in between the deep house shit that he was playing. So deep house set, full deep house set, and then just randomly would be like, so everybody would just go nuts.
I've heard that before. You're not the first person to tell me that, because I said it was basically the entire set was Sandstorm to some degree.
Yes. But he never. I don't think he dropped it till the very end. But the whole time would just be like, yeah, and then you just keep going with the set.
Hey man, I do it too. That's the most legendary synth of all time.
He was easily the nicest, funniest fucking guy ever. He was so fucking cool.
How old is he? Like
I'm guessing we're similar in age.
He's not even a person at this point.
He's
47. He was
40,
born 1975.
Oh, the Google Ninja right there. Okay.
Yeah.
He pulled up quick.
He was young, definitely, when I met him, and he was just cracking me up. He was just the nicest guy and had all these, he was definitely brought his production to the thing, but he knew that. See, that's where Bob Sinclair messed up, right? He knows that he only has that hit. And so he was like,
but the fact that you can tour on that for decades, that's what's so cool about it. Like, you need one hit, everybody. You need one hit.
Do you remember YouTube? I don't remember what it was, but it was April Fools, and I can't remember what you changed every video to be Sandstorm. So if you YouTubed anything on April 1st, it would be Sandstorm. It would come up and it'd be like, and it would just it would play that video. You couldn't watch anything on YouTube for that day except for
Sandstorm. Okay. I bet you got paid on that. Let's go. That's amazing.
Well, I would love to talk about the Shanghai thing, since you just kind of touched on it a little bit. I would love to just know your experience of living in a foreign country like that. Did they set you up in an apartment? Did you go out for food? Did you have a tour guide? Like, how does that work for a full month? Not being able to speak the language would be tough. Yeah,
this is a multi-layered biscuit. So there's a lot of things that happened. Like when I first went there for the first time. So keep in mind, like I mentioned Spenny before. So he was like the point of contact. And then there was also the owner was from Australia, and then the general manager was from like Sweden. It was a melting pot of people at this club. I didn't need to know Chinese because everybody spoke English. It was just the common tongue amongst all the countries. So that was really helpful. So I didn't have any culture shock inside the venue itself. But so when I just got to China for the first time, right? I'm there for literally 2 days, and they dropped me off, and I only have the general block drop-off point, and the manager forgot to contact me or like get in contact with me, and all I had was my hotel address, and it was like this little like Days Inn style motel, and I didn't know where I was in the city, let alone what to do next. So like literally just walked down a back alley. And it was just a local area, and I ended up eating like fish meatball soup and a warm beer for my first meal. And I was violently ill all the next day. I mean, it was terrible. But this guy was just looking at me. He was smoking a cigarette. He's looking at me. He's like, "You hungry?" He just rubbed his stomach. He knew I wasn't talking back to him. He's like, "You hungry?" And he's smoking. He's like, ashes falling in his soup bowls. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe it'll boost my immune system. I don't know. So I ended up giving him some money and having some soup, and he was really cool. Like he was trying to like make me feel at home. He got me a chair, sitting on this tiny little chair. That was like literally my first experience eating in China. And then I told Spenny, he's like, what the hell? Why'd they put you in there? Look, that's a garbage hotel, mate. So he's just like, he's all mad. So then next thing you know, the next night I'm in like the penthouse suite that the owner lives in.
Oh my
And-
God.
And he's on the. It looked like a tower out of Batman. I don't even know what the name of the tower is anymore, but it has like this crazy quadruple spike thing with a globe in it. It looks like something out of Gotham City. It's amazing. And it's like it was like $10,000 a month rent on this place. It was insane, and that's a lot of money in Shanghai. That's a lot of money. So I'm here. I'm staying on the 45th floor of this awesome place. Now I feel like I'm okay. Now I'm at the right spot. So then we go play at the club, and the club was so packed. I had to take my backpack and carry it over my head to get to the actual DJ booth. It was just so full. It was during the World Fair in 2010.
Wow.
So that kind of gives you the time frame, because it was like right during World Fair. There was over 400,000 foreigners in the city just for the event, and that was the foreigner club. So literally, it was just everyone was there. Incredible. I mean, David Beckham went there. Justin Bieber went there. Everybody, all like Hamilton, the F1 driver, went there. These were like, this is the club to go to, right? So, and then basically what happened was after that.
Well, wait. I'm sorry. I don't want to jump over this. I'm curious. What are you playing? Also, this is you're in a new country, a new city, a new everything. Do they tell you what you're going to be playing? Obviously, they know your style from.
Oh yeah, they just said play your Crooklyn Klein EDM bangers. That was it.
Yeah,
it was super easy. I only had to play for 90 minutes. It was easy.
Jeez.
I mean, it was just like electro, Swedish House Mafia, Avicii, all the good stuff. It was just super easy. It was just fun, vocals, and hands up jump. That was pretty much it. It was great.
Any hip hop, or just like kind of the masterpiece stuff?
Not until later on, towards the end of that tenure, I was starting to push Moombahton hip hop, and they were really digging it, because towards the middle of 2015, the 2015, 16, that was towards the end of it. The last time I was in China was 2017. That's when all of a sudden you could get away with some Post Malone or some major laser stuff like that had hip hop vocals, and it was mashups. But as long as it was still high energy and had an electronic feel to it with a hard hit, it still worked. But you had to roller coaster in and back out. But I was pushing the envelope with that for sure.
Were they ahead of the game, or did you feel like they're behind? Because even being a traveling DJ, I'm sure you see like certain cities you go to, and you're like, you got to dumb it down 2 years, 3 years, right?
Oh,
were they like ahead of it, or they
common denominator? It was just mainly whatever the top 100 world hits are. Like anything that was just at the top of the charts on Beatport, mixed with some EDM top 40 vocals. Like there's a lot of DJs that came from England that were residents. DJ Catch, the hit him with the horns. Like you would play that out there, and you get a great reaction. But he was a resident out there with me too. He was a good buddy of mine. But a lot of European DJs were out there. I was one of only like 2 or 3 American rotating residents. There's a DJ A-Rock, not the A-Rock from the West Coast, but the Red Bull A-Rock. He was a resident out there. He lives in Berlin. A lot of cool guys from London. And we all had our own sauce. That was the cool thing about it. Like we had our common ground, and then we strayed off to give ourselves definition. So that was, and I learned so much about world music, like the Euro techno sound, like when Future House, like when Don Diablo was starting to put out a lot of that style of stuff. 2014, all those really just really good feel good vocals with heavy bass lines.
Yeah,
that stuff was just crushing it. Like it's just Nora and Pure. That really I discovered Nora and Pure from all the European DJs early on.
Now, from being in Shanghai, did you end up traveling into Europe on your own from there, or was it? I don't know a lot of the touring that you ended up doing.
Oh, sure. So obviously, mainland Asia is a really good circuit in itself. Like I'd go to Vietnam. I was always going to Saigon, Ho Chi Minh, and then I'd go to Beijing all the time. Beijing has a crazy hip hop scene. Beijing is way ahead of the curve. Shanghai is more of the top 40 vibes. Beijing is like, they were like underground, because I met kids that were like younger than me. They knew more about New York hip hop than I did. Like they studied the culture. They really studied the culture. They were amazing at like understanding where our hip hop history came from. And you go to these clubs, and they just wanted to hear all the new stuff and the old stuff. It was so awesome. So I go out there. There's a French DJ out there who's really, really good, DJ E1. He's back in France, I believe now, but he hosted and built these parties, and they followed him. They really followed him. So that was another great one. I always went into like Chengdu, all these mainland China cities that like 20 million people. I've never even heard of these cities, and they have 20 million people in them. And you just go to these clubs, and they just want to hear like rage bangers, like just punishing. That's where if you get into mainland China, it's more like just it's just this numb. There's no definition to they just want to hear energy. They don't care what it is. And they were even getting into hard style. So it was just a very different culture. I would say Shanghai's like New York City. Beijing's like Washington, D.C. And then, you go down to Hong Kong. That's like the Miami vibes. Like there's it's got its own feel. And so, obviously the different types of people, different types of clientele. It was really cool to do all that.
Do you now speak Chinese, or did you learn enough to get by? Like, what were you like doing?
Do you speak Chinese?
The books on tape. The books on tape.
I've been told that I can speak pretty good if I'm mildly intoxicated, because I learned most of my Chinese while I was drunk. So when you learn it in that condition, you only are able to perform the speaking in that condition. Because the only phrase that I still I can count to 10, like er san shu wu liao qi ba, like I can do all that. But like if something's broken, that's the only thing I remember, because I was the music director at the club for a while, so I had to talk to the Chinese music director, and the only words that we knew how to speak to each other is "jiga huai la," and that means this is broken. And that's it. I just hand him "jiga huai la." He's like, okay. That was it. Everything else is like I can ask for ice water, eBay Bing Shui.
What about like a drink, or like
Bing is ice, Shui is water, then eBay is E is one. Like I want one ice water. eBay Bing Shui.
Did you just get tons of like bootleg Nike shit and like high end shit while you were over there too? Because like even
bro, I was the tour guide for all the other guest DJs. I still got fake Gucci belts.
I've heard that like some of the fake stuff is worth just as much as the real stuff. Like
now
in
there's
terms
actually
of
a
like
culture, like a bootleg culture. Yeah, because like especially Gucci in like the Hong Kong, there's these Hong Kong marks that if you get it from a particular store in Hong Kong, it's worth more than an actual Gucci shirt.
Jeez.
So because it's almost like Supreme short runs. So if you got this Gucci shirt from this shop in Hong Kong, oh man, like there's only like 20 of them made. Everybody wants it. It's crazy. But like the one thing I when Yeezys were blowing up and you couldn't get Yeezys on the open market anymore, man, I was just you get $20. Like I call them Chinesees. Like it was awesome. Like because they were more comfortable than the real ones. Yeah. Like they used a better squishy foam. So when I'm DJing, it's like standing on a yoga mat. It was awesome. So like I would just wear those, and they were better than the real ones. I was like, whatever, like if it works, and they're gonna get dirty anyways. I walked everywhere, so I literally walked everywhere in Shanghai. I know that city better than Orlando.
Are you able to start like you don't necessarily speak it right, but you're able to like read this is where we go. Are you able to see the signs and understand it?
It's actually cool because the way the alphabet works is there's the actual Chinese alphabet, but then they call it like Ping or something like that, where it's English phonetic Chinese. So I can read the phonetic versions. I can pronounce it properly, because the street signs have the Chinese characters and the English phonetic. So you can at least speak it to your taxi driver. Like I lived on Shikang Lu, Nanjing Lu. That means like I'm Shikang Road and Nanjing Road. So I just tell your taxi driver that's where you want to go. Man, you're bringing all this back all of a sudden. Like my Chinese is coming back. Like, crazy. Give me flashbacks right now.
I think it's really cool. I've never lived somewhere else, and so I'm sorry if I'm diving deep into it. It's just
no, I love it. I don't get the chance to talk about it much anymore. So I love going back. I should write a book or something, because I got the amount of experiences, the amount of people that I met. It really is. At the end of the day, the nightclubs are cool, but the people. Like I know this sounds like a Hallmark thing, but the people I met and enriched my life in such a dramatic way that I will never be the same person compared to when I first I met people from almost every country in the world. I met people from India, all these business people, and they educated me on socioeconomics, like world economics and why things work the way they do, the associations between countries. It was such a cool educational lifetime experience.
And it makes you, anytime I travel, I always come back like overseas. I always come back like, what, man, sometimes I think the US just sucks. We're too stuck in our own ways. And you go over there and people are just so fucking nice and just friendly. And, I wanted to go live in Italy for a month and it was in 2020, right when the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
It's
Did you
almost
see
as if-
Zillow? Did you see Zillow was paying for people to move to Italy?
Oh, that's crazy.
No, I have to
Yeah,
look
you
into
could
that.
have lived on an olive oil farm. They
Oh, man.
wanted people to move to this town because no one was living there. Everybody was leaving, and Zillow single-handedly saved their economy. And they paid people to live in Italy, so then
Wow.
they would be the hosts for these Airbnbs. It was something like sorry, it was Airbnb, not Zillow. It was Airbnb. So Airbnb was paying people to live and stay there, and then they would host other tourists to come in, and you could literally experience the Italy countryside. It was an incredible thing. Like I was actually like legit thinking about signing up for it.
Yeah, I can see it. That's something I would love to do. So,
Look, I know even if it's, I know everybody's got responsibilities and things like that, but if there's any way that you can live in a different country for even just one month or up to a year, I highly recommend it. I mean, it's a life changer. It'll literally open your mind to so many different things. The food, the people, the experiences, the pace of life. Your pace of life will change. We're not in that rat race vibe. It's a very different thing when you're over there. Time moves different when you're in a different place. I want to do it again. Honestly, you might find me in another country eventually.
I do have a question. So you said over between 2010 and 2017, you were on different stints of there. You weren't always just living there. What was your longest stint that you were there?
So I had to come back quite often because I think I was the longest I was there full time was 6 months, like nonstop. I didn't leave the borders because it was when I was started as a music director, and I actually got my work visa in China, so I didn't have to leave all the time. Because
Right.
there's 90 days, 60-day, 30-day entry windows. But here's the loophole: all you got to do is fly it to Tokyo or Hong Kong overnight, fly right back, and you can reset your visa. So that's what we all did. I had a tourist visa for 10 years. I could just come and go every 60 days. So what I did was I'd fly home. I'd bring back some of my stuff, bring some clothes back, or just put some money in the bank that I had in my American bank. So I just had to do stuff, like errands, international errands. So
how long is that flight back home? What is that flight?
So you got a flight from Shanghai to Detroit or LAX, and that's 13 to 16 hours. And then you still got another 3-hour flight on top of that.
Jeez.
So it would be a 24-hour day. I mean, there was part of the reason I came home is because my body was starting to shut down. I was getting I remember one time I was after a DJ gig here in America. I was going back and forth, and it was only a 1-week window in America where I could DJ. And the host brought me out for Denny's after the thing. I was literally falling asleep talking. I've never experienced that before. I mean, it was the most fatiguing time of my life where I was pushing myself way too far past what a human being should be doing. And I just hit the wall. That's what caused me to, after my second full-time year of being out there, I said, I moved to Vegas.
My body's shutting down. I'm going to go to Vegas so that I can rejuvenate myself.
Rehab in Vegas. How about that?
Oh my god!
But
dude.
honestly, I didn't DJ for 6 months when I first moved to Vegas. I was just working at Club Killers, and I was busy. I actually sat at home on New Year's Eve, and I just watched the TV and went to bed at 12:05. It was one of those things where I got my body just you know what, you don't need to be doing this. You as a DJ, you feel like you're almost obligated for holidays.
Yeah, you're
programmed, and I'm like, you know what, I don't have to do this, and I just went to bed like a normal civilian human being. And it was amazing. I woke up in the morning, January 1st. I'm like, this is what it's like to feel good. So it was an eye opener for me.
One of the things that I wanted to say is I feel like you could kind of tell when people have traveled a lot and seen some of the world. They just kind of have a different view on things, and
vibe. They just got a glow. It's something about it. I can't explain it. I can always tell.
I always feel like people just want to hate on America. And it's I feel like it's pretty cool here, especially when you go places and you see things. Sure, there's tons of things I love about other places. And then you come back and you're like, man, we got it pretty good here. One of the things was when I went to Africa and I was in Kenya and I'm like, oh, and it rains and the rain doesn't go anywhere because they don't have sewer systems or anything like that. You just can't drive anywhere. And then you come back home and you're like, oh, that is pretty nice that we have sewer systems, like something as small that we just take for granted every day that we,
Absolutely.
and people just don't understand, and it's
Well,
wild
actually, I
to
was
me.
told by a lady. I was one of my first days while I was out there. An Australian lady. She was helping me out because I accidentally ordered an entire menu of food, and they brought it all out. I was like, I was in way over my head. And she's
I
like,
love these
"Hey,"
little stories.
she's like, "Hey, do you need help?" I'm like, "Yes, help me." And she was with her daughter. It was like just it was just a nice 4-year-old Australian lady. She's like, it's really nice to see an American getting out there and adventuring things. I never see Americans travel. And that's where I think the misconception is like, it's not everybody hating on America. It's just that they know that Americans are kind of in their bubble. It's like a goldfish bowl. And we just think that everything is in our bowl, the only thing that's there, when we don't realize there's a whole sea around us and we just stay full. So that's where that common misconception is, because it's unfortunately there are some bad experiences where like people come off assured or ignorant, and that's what gives especially like when you I know French people get really annoyed when you don't even try to speak in France. Even if they speak English, they want you to at least try. That's because if you're trying to make an attempt, their language, they'll help you, because then they'll come back and speak English. Like, hey, respect. It's mutual respect. That's all it comes down to. And it's really that's what I really gained from like understanding the world on a higher level, is like, wow, we really all have these incredible perspectives, and we are all human beings. We just happen to live on different insane rock flying around the sun.
It's always amazing.
Go ahead.
It's just I was just gonna say, it's always amazing that like even politically, and I don't want to get political at all, but just like people are so opinionated here, and half the time the ones that are so opinion on either side of whatever spectrum, I'm like, that person's never left this place at all, and they have this opinion of like this grand opinion of how everything's supposed to work, and I'm like, you just. Sometimes it's just like,
it's so
just
hard to
go see
articulate.
some
Like the
other
way we're
things.
articulating it now, we can't articulate that on Facebook. We can't speak that eloquently on Twitter. We have these little bursts, and that's why everything gets so misunderstood. And that's the other problem, is like, if we all like, I've had so many good conversations face to face with people I don't agree with, that I've learned that, wow, like maybe like my perspective is a little off, and then I gain more knowledge, and I have a deeper respect for the issue. That's what such a good thing about conversation. That's why, like, when you do have that, now that we're kind of getting out of this COVID era, having face-to-face conversation is so important. It's part of being a human being. Like we're meant to interact with each other, and that's what's so important. So like, I really agree that, learning and understanding and having an open ear, at least an open ear to listen. I think you learn a lot from listening, not speaking,
Yeah.
I don't want to move along, but we are kind of running out of time. So one of the things we wanted to talk to you about is just some music, and we call it the Serato Top 5, where sometimes we talk about the top 5 played songs in Serato, and your Serato, and you don't have to tell us those if you don't want to, but we at least want to know some big songs. So we're gonna play a segment video.
Hey, Tazon Day here. Drew and Fuse, the drewiest and fusiest pair on the planet, are here to marinate your ears, marinate themselves, maybe kind of rotisserie themselves, and roll around in the ambiance of sound and music. So put on some Tazon Day light candles and let's talk music.
Chocolate rain. It's amazing. After you got him for that.
Tazon Day.
Chocolate rain.
All right. So some Serato top 5. If you do have the top 5, we would love to hear them.
What's it in Serato? What's the it's a play count? What's it called?
Play count.
Yep, it's called.
And it's going to be skewed because I found a glitch. So if you're using mixed in key and you don't have a number in it, it can just write a random number in there. So something to think about. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I know there's one that's already off. Young Thug, Young Stoner Life, and Drake, Solid. It says I played it 1,000 times. I don't think I've ever played that song before.
Right. So you could skip and just find the best ones that you think fit that bill. But we do know that it's going to be skewed.
This is. I mean, I can tell you which ones are definitely the right ones. So my number one song of all time in my Serato library, "Hips Don't Lie" by Shakira, the Select Mix edit.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
shout out to Select Mix for making the best Shakira edit of all time.
Wow.
That is the sonically, it's 10 times better than the original version.
Okay.
It sounds so much better. So whoever engineered that at Select Mix, thank you.
and why would you say that's just like a global song? It really
Oh,
it just
man.
hits
Like,
everything.
I still play it. Like when I jump on, if I'm doing like a share set with another DJ here in Tampa, especially, we do that a lot. We just juggle back and forth hour. That's usually if I'm playing like an 11 to 12 slot. That's the first thing I play. It just gets it going, gets the ladies going.
Do you think it got even bigger after the Super Bowl? I feel it did. I feel like
it was never not hot.
Okay, but I feel like it got a boost.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the younger girls that like they discovered for the first time, and so you can play it at a wedding, you can play it at a younger college club. It just hits like it's an easy crowd saver, like or it's crowd starter, whatever. Like it just gets them going. So then, in that same vein, what I usually do, you can tell this is part of my combo. I go into my Rude Boy VMA edit because it's the same feel, and it's a slam because I slam out of Hips Don't Lie because it kind of gets a little long. And Wyclef starts losing it, so you slam out of it. So it goes into there. My number 3 is Crank That by Soulja Boy. It's still I still play that middle of the night. You can do troll edit versions. You can come out of All I Do Is Win with it. You can do anything with it. It's such a great song.
Yep. Still play it every night.
And here's the thing. Full disclosure, anybody that's not familiar with me is I am not a deep crate guy. I am a hit player. I don't dig deep. I want to just play hits. I learned on hits. I will never be a deep B-cut type of DJ. I wish I could be. I just stick with the common denominators of all genres, and that's how I go. I just try to fit all the biggest hits together. That's what I do.
But you make great edits and remixes of those so that they make it sound a little bit different. I mean, there is something to that that statement that there's a little bit deeper. You one deeper.
Yes.
Is that you do make it a little bit fresh and keep it funky to where you're
You know where my influence comes from that? I can tell you, somebody asked me that recently, what caused me to start making epic acapella intros to all these classic songs. And it's from playing with bands. When you play with, I got jealous of bands when they could break down a song with just the drummer and the vocalist, and they just go mute with the guitars and bass. It has this dramatic effect. I'm like, man, I can do that with these stems. I can do the same thing. So because I collect stems, so I just started doing the same thing bands do, and that's what made these one of my biggest ones is September, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
I play that one all the time.
Every night play that. Yeah.
And it just that's that live vibe. You'd expect Earth, Wind, and Fire to do it that way, right? So that just makes it feel like it's natural. It feels right. So then when it comes back in, everybody's ready to dance. So that's really caused me to do
I have a question for you. Moving into the new STEM era of Serato 3.0, are these? Hopefully you're still making these and not just doing it in Serato, but do you plan on doing some of this live in your sets versus pre-making them? Someone asked me that personally, and I said I'm still going to be pre-making a lot of stuff. So I'm just curious.
It's funny because did you notice the hype is already over? I knew this was going to happen. I was probably one of the, as far as people I watched on social media, I was probably one of the least excited people about it. Because I listened to it. I already know the technology. I mean, it's a great tool, but there's unfortunately always. I've been actually disappointed when I load songs into the Serato stems. They come out really, really full of artifacts, those digital artifacts. It's trying to create a miracle, and sometimes it works, and every once in a while you might be able to get a phrase out, which is great for editing. Then you got to take that piece, bring it back into the editing world, make a good quality edit that you can then play live.
Yeah.
So, because I like to remaster and recompress my vocals if need be. I want total control so that when I play it live, there's no doubt. I know it's going to sound good because imagine when you're in the middle of a complicated routine live, and the bar owner comes up and starts tapping you on the shoulder. Hey, you gotta respond, and all of a sudden your routine screwed up. And I hate, and I know there's a lot of DJs that I'm not gonna name names, but they're like, look, man, no hands. Look at you in your cool edit. It's like I get it, bro. Like you're awesome on turntables, or you're really cool with your routines, and you got awesome stuff. But I'm not a DMC champion. I'm not going to be. It's not my lane, and I just want to rock a party. So that's why I want to make sure that my edits are able to do that, because I actually need to be on the microphone too. I'm on the microphone. I'm blending. I'm using effects. I'm mixing. I'm doing all that. So how many things can I do at once? So at least I have give myself that advantage of having a good edit that I can then enhance with my emceeing. Because like I memorize where my drops are. I'll drop out the when it's like 1, 2, 3 jump. I'll do it myself instead of letting the edit do it. But at least it's a guide, and it's got my back when I'm too busy to like completely deliver in the live aspect. So it's like a safety catch for me. I try to be the jack of all trades so that it's because at the bottom line, it's about the customer and the customer having the best experience possible. It's not about my ego. Right. And it's the customer supposed to have an unbelievable experience, and the audio quality should be a part of that. That's why, like, when I say like a fine wine versus a box wine, they both get the job done, but one tastes better than the other. So
I think there are moments where it's going to be really great, but I'm totally agreeing with you. I still think pre-production is going to be a king.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that like DMS, DJ City, Club Killers, everybody. This is what I like about it. Like, we're all in this ecosystem, and we all have different flavors, and we all obviously love music, so everybody has a different interpretation, and that's why I love it. I have all these record pools.
We preach that every single episode is that you should be on multiple record pools. You should not be only using one record pools. At least 3. At least 3. Yep.
So I mean, 100%. It's really important to me to like really, because also too, we all live in different parts of the country, especially with the American-based pools. That's the cool thing. Like, oh, this is blowing up in Milwaukee. This is blowing up in Cincinnati. Like West Coast. Like, oh man. So then it gives you ideas and realize, okay, I can do that too. So it's that's why it's so invaluable to me to have these resources, and it just makes your life a little bit easier when you have an edit. It's just when it jumps to that best part of the song, instead of having to hit the button to make it happen, and if you miss the cue, it sounds like crap. Like, it just goes to the right part. Like, it's in the right place. Like, that's why I love edits. I've been addicted to edits since I got Serato. Okay?
Well, you're one of the best at it.
Yeah, I think it's just gonna make shittier DJs sound shittier is what I actually think, which then it'll be more obvious when the good DJ comes in. That's what I honestly think is gonna happen with it. Like,
with the
guys
stem?
I think guys that do the least are gonna be trying to do the most with it, and it's gonna fucking stand out.
Oh yeah, you got a strong point there, because power tools in the wrong hands can be dangerous.
That's right.
It's a great quote. Put that quote in the archive right there.
But that's what I think. I
agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And what's really cool? This is what I love about the culture. Since I've been DJing for 23 years, right? Everybody that I've come along the way with and took DJing seriously is still DJing to this day. I can't name off a lot of guys that quit or just faded away.
At least that were serious, like you said.
Yeah, like I know a lot of great DJs and producers and stuff that everybody's still doing it. So shout out to everybody. Like, everybody I came up in the game with is still busting their ass and doing a great job. So I'm really just proud of the culture. Like, as we get older, we're still kicking ass, and that's really important to me. I'm not worried about the younger generation, because if we're still kicking ass, who cares?
100%. Well, here, so we're on number 4. What's number 4? Right?
Hold on. Let's go back to Serato. Okay, so Danza Kuduro.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
You
play the Akon one?
I play the Convict remix.
Yeah. That's the one I play. Yep.
What I'll do is I have a party starter edit that just is like it's like a cappella epic, and then it goes. Then I bring it back into the Convict version.
Yeah.
So then my number 5 is Dance Ass, Big Sean, Nicki Minaj.
Yeah. I've been playing that edit you made recently too. That goes into the.
Oh, it's a Freaky Girl.
Yeah.
Oh my God! That was the
Yeah.
best wordplay at segue transition.
I did that on
props to you for that.
Believe it or not, it kind of happened on accident. I was not intending on the E thing. I just wanted the bridge part to make it work. And then I just realized she says free at the same key and cadence as ass dance. I was like, I could not get any luckier. So I had to do a little bit of kung fu to make the blocks move, like the different blocks, the audio to drop in and out when I needed it. But like I was laughing while I was making. I'm like, I did not intend on this working so well. So
I
it was
saw
just
that
supposed to
on
be a segue transition, you know.
I saw that on social media. I was like, that's the best segue I've heard in a long time. That was really good.
Yeah, that was
good.
a little bit of luck, a little
one.
bit of skill. That's
Props to you on that one. So that was a good one.
Thank you. I walked right into it.
Being that you travel as much as you do, or you're on it, we'd love to ask you some travel tips. We have another segment video for this.
Yeah, I came prepared too.
All right,
here we go. We'll play this real quick.
Great Scott! Hey there, Drew and Fuse! It's me, Doc Brown! Quick, jump in the DeLorean! We need to get this episode up to 88 miles per hour! Now, hit the flux capacitor, and let's travel to the future!
Marty! Great Scott, Marty! You guys got the most amazing cutscenes. Good. Michael Jackson, Doc. Oh my God, chocolate rain.
we gotta keep them funky. And there's a lot you haven't seen, so we're keeping it fresh.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Okay, so travel tips and stuff.
Yeah,
Okay,
so we've had TSA pre. We've had something like someone said you have to have a plastic fork in your bag. What's Deville's must travel?
Okay, so it's like a 3-part process. Right? I was thinking about this because like you mentioned it in the DMs. So I was like, this is the first thing I wanted to mention. Okay, so everybody knows I'm a Toomey guy. Like I love Toomey luggage, right? So one of the things I discovered that's an amazing thing is you take the toiletry pouch, and it's the best USB holder in the world.
Yes.
So you put all your cables in there, RCAs. I got like multiple. But then the cool thing is it pops right into the Toomey compartments because they're all sewn together to fit these exact pouches. So they just all pop in there perfectly. So this is my HID kit. So every time I play on CDJs with HID, I got my adapter and 3 USBs. Good to go. It's just instant hookup, right? So I got that. And then in conjunction with that, I will never not use this style of backpack. It's the Toomey roll top that has the expander bay in it. So everybody knows like the luggage fees aren't getting any cheaper, right? I do landed fees and it's on my bottom line to save as much money as possible. So what I do is this thing opens up like a sleeping bag almost. So I can fit in this area here alone, like a day's worth of clothes. So I'll get some like lightweight nylon joggers, a couple t-shirts, socks, underwear, and then my toiletry kit, right? It all fits just in this part. And all my DJ stuff is still on where it goes. And I get through, like if I'm on Spirit or Frontier and I'm on that $60 flight round trip, right? I don't have to pay for luggage. And this thing does it all. This thing is amazing. It's really comfortable. It's got heavy duty straps. So that's my go-to bag. Like this bag has probably saved me I've had like 2 or 3 versions of this bag. I've probably saved $5,000 or $8,000 in luggage.
You pay for it up front, but then you end up saving down the road.
Oh yeah, I mean I've had this bag for 4 years already, and it still looks pretty much brand new. And the cool thing is you get your name on it. That's the best part.
I love that.
And then so I know everybody loves headphones, right? So like, that's another thing that I like to talk about is I love these Bose headphones. I got these for Christmas last year, and I used to have the over-the-ear ones, right? I didn't realize Bose made noise-canceling earbuds. And I swear to God, these things help tinnitus. And I'm not a medical professional, but I'm pretty sure these like noise cancellation actually helps tinnitus from being in a loud nightclub. But they're super convenient. Like they do the full noise cancellation. It's got like 5 charges worth inside. You don't have to charge. There's a battery inside this thing. And it's super small. You don't have to have the big clunky over-the-ear headphones because I already got my Pioneers for DJing. I don't want to carry Bose over the ears either. So this is like the alternative. So like when I'm walking around, it has like clarity mode so you can hear what's going on around you. like these like any sort of Bose, what are these? I can't remember the model number, but they're the noise canceling earbuds. I think they just came out with new ones. But those noise cancellation in an airplane obviously is crucial because we all care about our ears, but we still abuse them, right?
I'm using the AirPods.
Anything you can do to alleviate any sort of stress when it comes to headaches. Like I used to get really bad compression headaches from the bass and all things like that. It was just the worst. So this is like your little oasis. You can just put them on and not listen to music. It's just quiet, and it actually helps my eardrums. So I swear by these things. And it's funny. I've never had TSA pre-check. I've never had it. I'm just that guy that stands in line.
If we could preach to you, dude,
you got to get it.
It's easily the easiest thing you'll ever do, ever. I mean, you just have to make the appointment. That's all.
It's funny because everybody's making fun of me at the office. I've been trying to, I've had my passport renewal sitting on my desk since July, and it's still not done. I have everything printed out. I'm like, I got to go to the bank and wait in another line and print out a cashier's check. It's like, man, I just.
You'll thank us at one point. You got to get the TSA pre. It's a game changer.
Oh, so what's the difference between the blue? What's the blue one?
Oh, clear.
Yeah, there's clear, and then there's TSA. What's the difference?
TSA is at every airport. The clear is only at certain airports,
like big ones.
They use clear at like some sporting events too, and you get like you're able to get in quicker, but that's even few and far between.
Okay, so TSA is the one to have.
It's TSA is only like $75 too, and it's good for
5 years.
Yeah, for 5 years.
Really? Okay. All right. Well, I'm probably gonna have to do that because
since you travel international, I would say look into getting the
global entry,
and it counts for both.
Yeah. Yes, because I know American Express gives you a discount. I never did that either. I should have done that too because I was going in and out so much. But it seemed like it went by pretty fast. I was like, 45 minutes to re-immigrate into the country. It's like whatever. It was like $300 when it first.
I'll tell you why it's worthwhile. You don't have to take your shoes off, and you don't have to take your laptops out of your bag. That is what it's worth for. Not the line wait for anything else. It's that little bit for me.
The sheer convenience factor. That's great.
Yeah. We hate to cut this short, dude. You're just such an amazing person. I've loved
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Podcast. We have one last thing, and it's just we like to ask. It's the sauce. What would you tell your younger self? What's something you could tell your younger self for the DJs coming up?
Save your money. Save all your money.
Yeah.
It's because dude, comes and goes real quick. I finally feel like I got financially mature like 5 years ago.
I
was living life, it's like it comes and goes fast. But even if just because we don't have 401ks and retirement plans the way regular jobs do. It's up to us. We're entrepreneurs. We're sole proprietor business people, things like that. You got to have that structure in your life to some degree.
Yeah,
totally.
I just bought my first house back in 2018, finally, after all these years.
Thank God before 2020. That's great.
Yeah, and I bought a condo here. I took my equity and moved it over here, and then everything went way up from there. It's like everything's so crazy now. So it's like, just having some sort of financial skin in the game really keeps you ahead of whatever's going on in the world. So just be smart, save your pennies, and enjoy the ride.
I love that, man.
It's good advice.
It's really good advice. I need to listen for myself.
There's so many toys to buy too. That's the problem. All these cool toys.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? Not buy them?
Don't test me. I'll always buy new toys. Can't be living in that old tech world.
Exactly.
Tell everybody where they could find you. You tell them about your Patreon. Club Killers, guys, sign up for Club Killers. You get exclusive Deville edits on Club Killers.
Oh yeah. So basically, so the way you can find my music, I'm on Instagram, DEEJAY Deville. And then now I've got my Patreon, so it's Patreon.com/DJ Deville. And then of course on clubkillers.com every Friday I drop new edits. And and I'm somewhere on Facebook. I forgot. So that's where I participate the most. But when it comes to the Patreon, that's like a community. If you can communicate you really communicate closely with me and let me know what you're looking for with editing, especially classics and things like that. It's a really great place to tap into that and let your voice be heard on what you're looking for as a DJ. So I think Patreon's a really great community building experience.
Yeah. Dude, we're gonna have you back on to talk music, because I feel like we just got into so much personal and real life stuff, and I just love talking with you as a person.
No, appreciate it.
I want to dive more into music, so we're definitely gonna have to have you back on.
Anytime, guys. You let me know.
Okay, hell yeah,
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. So, and honestly, it was a great conversation. I know I could talk about a million different things. I could just talk about the proms in the cafeteria for an hour. So.
Yeah,
we'll get back to that at some point. But dude, what a great interview! Thank you so much for being on.
Cheers, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And for our listeners, until next time, that's going to wrap up today. We'll talk to you later. See ya.